Right now in New York, we're with Paul Rieckhoff, the host of the Independent Americans podcast, here for his weekly appearance. Good to see you, as always. You know, this off-ramp talk versus whether we're going to ramp it up with the 82nd, what's your kind of view on it, big picture? Whoa, there's some mood lighting for Paul there. Oh, that better not continue. So you're, like, for example, I had some people on yesterday. It's almost like, can Trump be in a position where he's pleasing no one? You know, people that were hawkish saying, all right, go, you got this far, you got to go in, you got to finish the job. And then, of course, there's people on the other side who didn't want him to ever go in the first place. So it's an interesting spot now as he tries to find this off-ramp. Yeah,
that was a reminder that the U.S. has been incredibly effective in shutting the lights out in Iran.
Very good.
The cyber attacks are, I think, an underappreciated part of our military capacity. But when it comes to Trump, he can decide to take an off-ramp, but it doesn't mean everyone else is going to go with him.
Including Iran.
I've said this a lot. You know, when you have set the hornet's nest decide when it's over. And now you can see what that looks like. Missiles falling in Kuwait, Israel engaging in Lebanon, and the roof is popped off of this and it's overflowing. So he can decide tomorrow that he's done with the strikes. It doesn't mean the other side is done. I think the very real prospect of boots on the ground should be front and center. This could be the most significant ground invasion by U.S. forces in a generation. We're talking now about 2,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne, in addition to thousands of Marines. That could go fine, and we could have very low casualties, or we could see hundreds or thousands of casualties. And that's the real question before the president. Are you ready to lose hundreds of Marines and 82nd Airborne soldiers to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, or to take the Kurg Island? That's the price we may have to pay to move forward, and that's why so many Republicans especially are pushing back today after the briefing.
Let me do it on the telestrator so that we could dig in on the 82nd at least. You know, 3,000 soldiers. You see the specialized nature of this unit that, you know, there's a lot of military lore surrounding the 82nd. Is it for Kurg Island? Like, if we bring up the islands in general, it's not the only one. I mean, Kurg is all the way up here, the northern part of the Persian Gulf. So, you know, even if we zoom in on it, right there, we've already hit it, right? But we did not hit any of the oil infrastructure. Is it possible that it's one of these other islands closer to, say, the Strait of Hormuz? What do you make of mission if it is the 82nd going into that area?
It's all possible, and they're probably going to be backstopped by the 75th Ranger Regiment, the Special Operations Command. You know, they may have multiple targets. I don't think we'll see an airborne assault, but that's always a prospect.
Stop you for 1 second. I'm sorry. Breaking news on the social media addiction trial. This is out of Los Angeles. Plaintiffs' attorneys at the mics. We'll have Nancy Liu there as well. Told you about this verdict. It's a big one. Let's listen to what they're saying.
To operate their platform in a reasonably prudent fashion and to warn in a reasonably prudent fashion was a direct cause, substantial contributing factor to harming Kayleigh to the tune of $3 million, which is not a rounding error. Then they had a set of questions on YouTube. YouTube's defenses that they were just TV were shunned by the jury, and the jury said that YouTube, Google, failed to operate YouTube in a reasonable fashion. And it's their failure to operate it in a reasonable fashion that held YouTube accountable as well. The jury also said that YouTube failed to give reasonable warnings. So after the jury did that and assessed the damages of $3 million, the jury then at that point answered the question of what percentage of responsibility is there on the two companies based upon the conduct as Kayleigh experienced it. And they put 70% on Meta. They put 30% on YouTube. Then they gave findings that both of them acted in ways that constitute conduct that should be punished. And these issues were by and large on a 10-2 vote for most of them. We had 10-2 almost all the way down. And so what do we have now? Now we've got a punishment phase. We put the net worth of both companies in front of the jury. And then having put that net worth there, the lawyers had 20 minutes per side to argue. And we've done that argument, and now the jury goes back to make a decision of whether or not it's appropriate to put a financial fine, a punitive damage figure on this case. And that's what we're waiting for now. And once we get that finding, the jury will be discharged. The judge has indicated she will probably visit with the jury herself and then she would like some of the lawyers to visit with those jurors who want to stay and visit with lawyers. Then and only then do we come out and are we able to visit with you. Kaylee has asked me that she does not want to get in front of the cameras. She is averse to that, but she did want me to express her appreciation publicly for the work of the court, for the work of the jury, and for the work of the media in helping to recognize what the first social media addiction trial is all about. And that's a very serious issue, not only here to California and the U.S., but to the world. So with that, I'm glad to take a couple of questions.
Why did you not ask for a specific number in the punitive damages? We know that you talked about the 415 peanut M&Ms and you talked about a handful not making a difference, but why did you not give a specific number?
The question is, why did I not give a specific number on punitive damages? I have gotten, I don't know, $15, $20 billion plus in punitive damages in my career, and I've never asked for a specific number. So I wouldn't know where to start. I think jurors are pretty smart about that. My goal is to say, here's how much money means to these people. And so in light of that, here's how much you should assess. I say that one time in 2005 against Merck, I told the jury to award $220 million because of fact in that case, and the jury did. But generally, I've never asked them to award punitive damage amounts. I leave that up to them.
What message does the court send?
All right.
Can you talk about the relevance, for other families?
All right, so we're on the breaking news from Los Angeles. Mark Lanier, plaintiff's attorney, after that landmark verdict in the social media addiction trial, finding Meta and Google to be liable in that particular case. You heard him getting into punitive damages and how high the number might go. He clearly doesn't want to limit himself, was what I took away from that answer. Paul Rieckhoff, who was talking about the war, will pivot to this because I know he was all over it on his own show, Independent Americans podcast today. First, Nancy Liu is there at the courthouse. So, Nancy, let me start with you. Let's talk about this for a moment and take us through what actually happened for those just joining on the verdict itself, and then we'll talk through some of these issues. Now, a lot of people are saying this is like the big tobacco moment for big tech.
Absolutely, and it's a pretty remarkable blow for Meta because it's two big courthouse losses in less than 24 hours. Of course, New Mexico, that ruling just yesterday, $375 million. In this case so far, the plaintiff, Kaylee, has been awarded $3 million, and now we're in the punitive damages phase. And we just heard from Mark Lanier. He didn't put a number out there, but people know that these companies, Meta and Google, they are worth trillions. The jury's been told that Meta's total stockholders' equity is $217.2 billion. As for Google, their total stockholders' equity is $415 billion. So we are now on a lunch break. The jury will be coming back in about an hour, and then we'll resume this punitive damages phase. But we've really expected a verdict today. A big clue this morning was one of the jurors showing up with flowers and a box of pastries, and some of them appeared a little more dressed up than they have looked in previous days for deliberations.
Connell. I don't know if ironic, Paul, is the right word for it, but it's at the same time, there are stories out there about Mark Zuckerberg and Meta wanting eventually to have that company be valued at like $9 trillion, literally, so they can pay executives, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars at the same time as this ruling is coming out. So we'll see what they do on punitive damages. But just from a human perspective and a parent perspective, I wonder what changes might happen to, some of the what would be described, I think, by Mark Lanier and others as design flaws in these apps, like infinite scroll, the algorithmic recommendations, even the beauty filters, all these kinds of things, whether there'll be real changes on social media.
There need to be. I mean, this is good news, and it's long overdue because Meta is not protecting our kids. I mean, that's the bottom line here. $375 million judgment yesterday for allowing sexual predators to have access to children.
Right.
This is long overdue. I've got a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I am more concerned about them being online than in the streets, because these companies are focusing on profit instead of the well-being of our children. In order for this to be punitive, it's going to have to be in the billions of dollars, and there's going to have to be regulation to protect our kids in the same way they did decades ago from tobacco advertising. I think that is actually a good parallel, because now we know how harmful social media can be for children. We know how vulnerable they are, especially to sexual predators, and Meta's not doing enough. If Zuckerberg really cares about kids and cares about his business, he's going to have to get ahead of this and make some big changes.
Because the money, to me, I mean, not that it's not important, and it could be a huge number, and but these companies will make back the money in an era of AI, and valuations will almost definitely go up over time. But the changes in how they do their business, will they be real enforceable changes? And
and I think the punitive damages are going to be key here, because to make it punitive, it's going to have to be tens of billions of dollars.
Right.
Put that in comparison, we're spending $1 billion a day in Iran right now. I mean, think about where that money could go to protect our children. And the bottom line is they have to be punished into focusing on it, and they're long overdue to put our kids first over profits. And I think this could be the breaking of a dam of much more to come.
All right, Paul. Thank you. Flexible as always. I know, like you said, you were talking about this on your show. We started with the war, ended on that. It's another big story. Nancy as well. We'll be back to Nancy Liu live in Los Angeles, covering a big breaking story for us today. 14 past the hour.